Hello there and welcome back to our channel. Or if this is your first time visiting our channel, I promise that our video topics are typically, or rather almost always, far more exciting than the one we are covering today. Because today we're talking about property taxes.
Gross.
Important to understand though, right? But the most interesting or sexiest topic when it comes to planning your move to Idaho? Well, yeah, not so much. So if you're thinking about moving to Idaho and you would rather watch something that doesn't involve levies, assessed values, tax rates, and all that jazz, well then please check out one of our other videos like this one, or that one, or this one, or really any of them. Just have at it. For those of you, though, that are ready to wrap your head around what to expect when it comes to property taxes across Boise's booming valley, then this one is for you. Sit back and I'll try to cover everything you need to know prior to making the move to Idaho, and I promise I will do so as quickly and as painlessly as possible.
Good luck.
First up, let's address a question that we are frequently asked about by clients who are moving from out of state. What areas across the Treasure Valley have the highest and the lowest tax rates, and why do those rates vary so significantly? Okay, so across Ada County, so that includes Boise, Meridian, Eagle, Kuna, Star, and Garden City, your lowest property tax rate, and this surprises most to hear, is going to be in Eagle, followed by Meridian. And then the highest rates are in North Boise, as well as in some areas in East Boise and on Boise's Central Bench. One key thing to keep in mind is that there are so many areas that make up each city across the valley, and their levy rates, which I'm going to get into here in a minute, and therefore also their property taxes, vary right alongside them. So when it comes to helping our clients explore the Treasure Valley, chances are we will, at least initially, be looking in multiple different areas with somewhat different tax pictures. As such, when it comes time to really dial down on the home search, and of course when we get ready to roll up our sleeves and make some decisions, i.e. start talking about making offers, well, we will be 100% dialed beforehand so that there won't be any surprises come tax time.
Some people like surprises.
I don't like surprises.
Neither do I.
So maybe you were also wondering about Canyon County, and this one also surprises most to learn. In Canyon County, which includes Caldwell, Nampa, Middleton, Melba, and several others, property taxes here are typically higher than what you see in Ada County. And then, similar to Ada County, the levy rate varies based on what individual levy district a home is located in. Again, I'm going to break down levy rates here in a second. But first, I just want to pause here for a beat to say that while, as I just covered, rates do vary significantly across the valley in comparison to each other, well, they are still likely going to be lower and sometimes significantly lower than what you might be coming from. And therefore, comparing them to if you're moving here from, say, Texas, California, or Oregon, then living in Idaho will mean you'll be paying less in property taxes. Or if you're moving to Idaho from any of the New England states, such as Connecticut, New Hampshire, or Vermont, well then you will quickly discover that living in Idaho will be quite the reprieve come tax time. Okay, so now let's break down how our property taxes are determined. Here in Idaho, we use a levy rate system, which is different than the rate-based system used by many other US states. So I'm not going to dive into the rate-based system today because, well, yeah, this video is about Idaho.
You're living in your own private Idaho.
And here in Idaho, our property taxes are determined using the levy rate system, which essentially means that a levy rate is calculated based on the city's budgetary needs for public resources. So here's an example. Let's say that in your area there are 5 different public institutions or tax districts. That's a tongue twister for some reason. Anyhow, that they are all funded by property taxes. Now, typically there will be more than 5, but for this example, let's just keep it simple and stick with 5. So let's say that those are public schools, the fire and police department, roads, and let's just make the last one mosquito abatement. To keep the math simple, let's just say that each has a budget of $20,000, bringing that total to $100,000. So then the assessor takes that total, so $100,000, and then divides it by all the taxable property value to get your area's levy rate. And then that levy rate is multiplied by the assessed value of your property to get your property tax amount. So please note the word assessed. The assessed value of your home is the value that the county assessor gives it. Thankfully, because it certainly helps our pocketbooks, here in the Treasure Valley, the assessed values we typically see for homes is typically lower than their actual market values. And since you will be taxed on that assessed amount, opposed to the amount you could potentially sell your home for if you were to put it on the market, having a lower assessed value is obviously beneficial come tax time. So now you might be wondering how you can see what the assessor's office has for your home's assessed value. Thankfully, both Ada and Canyon counties have systems in place that make finding this information relatively easy.
Okay, show me.
Okay, for example, let's just use Ada County's assessor's office to check out the tax situation for this property in North Meridian. Once you have the property pulled up, you can use the tabs to check out all of the property details. So you can see previous tax years, the property's current assessed value, as well as previous year's values, tax districts with levy info and percentages, home and land characteristics, and the list just really goes on. For the purposes of this video, though, just know that this resource can help you estimate property taxes for the coming year. To do that, you take the levy rate for the area that your home is located in, which is conveniently located on this tab, the Tax District tab, which for this property is currently at, oh, well, that's kind of an ugly number, isn't it? But honestly, they always are, so I guess this example is a good heads up for it. But basically, it's just saying that the levy amount is roughly 0.537%, which is obviously well below 1%. Then you're going to go and see what the assessors has on record for your home's assessed value, which is noted on the valuation tab. And boom, there you have your assessed value, which for this home is $766,800. So now, what do you think? Do you just multiply this assessed amount by the levy rate to get what you owe for property taxes?
Yes.
No.
If you, my friend, if you were thinking that that was the correct next step, well then you're really going to like this next part, because assuming you're going to be living in the home and using it as your primary residence, then here in Idaho you will qualify for a $125,000 homeowner's exemption. So what that basically means is that you get to deduct $125K from the assessed value. Once you have that total, so in our example that would bring our assessed value, which is going to be taxed on, down to right around $641,000. Well, $641,800 to be exact.
Nerd alert. No.
So this lower amount is the amount we would then take and multiply by the levy rate to determine your property taxes. So for this one, we would be right around $3,451 for the year. If, however, the residence is not going to be your primary home, then the property tax is owed because, again, in that case, the homeowner's exemption of $125,000 would no longer apply. In that case, your taxes would be $4,126. 40, 60, whatever. Which, I don't know, that difference of roughly $670 can certainly come in handy come Christmas time or as a travel expense, right?
I have all this extra money and
Okay, so now you're liking the idea of the homeowner's exemption, and you're wondering about the process and what it takes to get dialed so you can save at tax time. And thankfully, it's easy. You can do it online.
Online.
You just need to make sure you remember to do it. As long as you own and are occupying your home before December 31st, you can file your application for the current tax year. And then for applications received after tax day, so after April 15th, they will be prorated for the remainder of the year. And thankfully, once you've successfully applied and have qualified for an exemption, you'll be all set for years to come. Well, unless you move or ownership changes or something like that happens. But basically, once you are dialed, you're dialed, and it's not something you have to remember or do every single year.
Good.
So what about homes that the assessor's office doesn't have a current or what could be deemed as being an up-to-date assessed value on file? And where and why would this happen? Well, this comes up for our clients who are purchasing newly constructed new builds directly from builders. And the only assessed values on file will be for the land because, well, the physical home hasn't yet been completed, assessed, and recorded. So obviously the assessed value will initially be significantly lower than what it will be once the house is complete and has been assessed. So if you are thinking or planning on buying a newly constructed home, how could or should you plan for property taxes? If, say, you were looking at building a home that is currently under construction in, say, Dry Creek Ranch in Northwest Boise, the taxes that will be listed both on the listing and in the assessor's office will be based on the land alone and therefore significantly lower what they will be once the residence is physically complete and you're living there. So in these kind of situations, so for people looking to buy new construction who are trying to wrap their heads around where their property taxes will ultimately land, we can use the same system in conjunction with the IMLS to help us predict what you will likely see come tax time for your newly constructed home. What we will essentially do is find a pre-existing home in the same area with similar specs, both based on land, so the lot size, the house specs, so square footage, baths, bedroom count, all of that. So we'll basically just be finding a strong comparable to the one that you are buying and work from there. While it will not be exact, it will definitely help you to get a general idea of what you can expect. Because while some surprises are fun, typically when it comes to taxes,
well, that's not a very good surprise.
Okay, so now another commonly asked question, and one that typically comes right after what I just covered. How often will the assessor's office reassess your home's assessed property value? And good question, because of course values do change over time, and in turn that will impact what you owe for property taxes. Once a home has been built, its assessed value will periodically be revisited by the assessor's office every several years. It's just a drive-by assessment, so no, you won't need to worry about some random assessor popping by and expecting tea and a house tour. Nothing like that. And then, of course, levies are subject to and will, of course, also fluctuate. Now for some additional good news for current Idaho residents. About a month ago, so at the end of November 2023, we were all pretty happy when we received our property tax bills. Yeah, you heard me right. We were actually happy to get to the mailbox and see that tax bill. Well, once we opened it anyhow.
What is wrong with you people?
Well, that's thanks to a relief bill headed by Governor Brad Little. And this bill basically resulted in an 18% drop in our property taxes. According to this KTVB article, Governor Little is quoted as saying, Idaho already has the third lowest property taxes in the country, and we took steps this year to lower them further. Idaho has delivered more tax relief per capita than any other state, and we're proud to turn money back to the hard-working people of our state while making critical investments in schools and infrastructure to keep up with growth.
I like that.
I like it too.
Okay, all, thank you so much for hanging in there with me today. If you have any additional questions about our property tax situation here in Idaho's gorgeous Treasure Valley, please comment below or certainly send us a text or give us a call at 208-598-3040. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.